Yeah, my passion and appreciation for agriculture runs deep in my family. My family's 8th generation heritage on rural Illinois farms. My family's farm is in Champaign County. I grew up in the area, was raised in St. Joe, live in Champaign now, so I've always been around agriculture.
And you've got quite a bit of experience in finance.
I do. I graduated from the University of Illinois, obtained a business administration degree at Parkland College first, spent 16 years in public practice at Martin Hood Freese and Associates before joining Farm Credit Illinois, and it's been almost a decade since I've been at Farm Credit now.
And you're going to be replacing Aaron Johnson, who spent several decades at Farm Credit.
He
and
has.
So that happens at the end of the year.
It does. He is going to move on to retirement on December 31st, and I've had the honor and privilege of serving with Aaron here for the last 5 years in his tenure as CEO and under our former late CEO, Tom Tracy. Great leaders, both with very diverse experience. It is overwhelmingly helpful to get to learn from the leaders that came before, especially somebody like Aaron with 40 years of experience in Farm Credit.
Well, you come into the position at a time when there are some probably more challenges in the agricultural economy than there have been for a few years.
Yeah. Yes, our producers have been faced with persistent inflation, higher interest rates, geopolitical trade volatility, and now uncertain commodity prices on top of that. The benefit of being an ag cooperative and a business that serves our local agriculture is that we are prepared and ready to walk through those times, navigate those times, the headwinds that are coming down the road, and serve through all the cycles.
When you say prepared, tell me what you mean.
Yeah, here at Farm Credit, we take an approach to credit that is constructive credit, bringing our expertise and education around that. Many of our producers are in different points of their farming career and at different places, and so we come around that and we can help them in many different ways in addition to lending, and that's the beauty of a cooperative, serving our mission, helping farm families succeed.
And as farmers look toward harvest and then look toward the end of the year and getting their books all straightened out, there's going to be a lot of them that are really pretty nervous about what they're going to be doing for next year.
You bet.
I'm sure you and your loan officers are well aware of that.
We are, and our loan officers are well positioned and experienced in these parts of the cycle. We try to be proactive and get out in front of that, especially with our young producers. We have a special program, Fresh Roots, that has some education pieces to that. And so just trying to be proactive and have those conversations sooner rather than later so that they can get prepared for what's coming ahead. But we'll walk with our producers, and this winter will be no different.
When you look at the 60 counties that you've got in the southern 60% of Illinois, what do you see as far as the strengths and the weaknesses in the farm economy?
Yeah, our 60 counties is pretty diverse, really. If you went north to south and east to west across our territory, the agriculture looks quite different there, and I think that is why we really have spread out our expertise through our 14 offices that we have. Everyone represents their own local community, and there's a little bit of a different need there depending on what's going on with the industry, or even in just our local rural communities itself. Agriculture is a very rewarding and a very volatile industry at times. And so as a lender, we just look to be there and support. So we want to support our lenders in agriculture. We want to help them get going if they're looking to get started in agriculture. We want to prepare them for some of the elements that can shift around. We want to do that through education and different programming that we bring to our communities, both for our membership and those that we might not have had the opportunity to serve yet.
Do you see any of your clientele possibly being paired off before they get started for the next year? Do you see restrictions on what they're doing and thinking that, well, maybe they need to go somewhere else, whether it's to other lenders or FSA or something like that?
Yeah, we certainly hope that we're able to be along with them. I think anytime that there is a change in the industry and a shift in this cycle, It makes people take a step back and just analyze their plan that they have going forward. That's something that we work with our producers on, not just on a credit decision, but what is their long-term plan? And so when we take a shift like this, it's just a matter of going back to that plan and following the playbook that's already been laid out ahead of time.
And as your loan officers will be working with them, what sort of things will be in the conversation that those folks should expect and be prepared for before they get into the office and have that conversation? What should they anticipate being part of that conversation?
Yeah, we take a look at balance sheets. We talk about cost to produce. We have very, very bright producers out there that are very in tune with their operations and are many times steps ahead of even where we're at, coming in and asking those questions and working with them. What kinds of things can they do so that they can sustain the lower commodity prices and the direction that net farm income is headed for right now? We look to support them in bringing whatever education or topics they feel like they need to have. It's been interesting. There's some new, farming is more complex, as you know, right now than ever. So technology and issues like cybersecurity, and there's just a lot of issues that maybe our ancestors didn't really have to deal with.
Well, I know you have a lot of those educational sessions, and I've been to dozens of them over the years. Any new topics that you're going to be bringing into some of those sessions? New individuals saying, hey, here's something you haven't thought about before, guys. You need to start thinking about.
Yeah, like I mentioned, we do have special programming for young, beginning, and small, so those getting started out. So lots of topics that are applicable there. Technology is one that comes up a lot. Retirement plans and some of the labor shortage issues that we hear. So we're trying to come around that issue and support as much as we can. Just how, what kind of farm succession, what kind of future do we have ahead of us, and what does the current cycle mean for farm successions that might be on the horizon?
Do you see an increase in changeover on those home farms because of this? Whether it's somebody saying, I can't be an operator quite as much, I need to go get a part-time job in town, and Grandpa's going to take over a little bit more. Do you see changes in that within those family structures of who the operator and primary operators are?
Yeah, I think we always see multi-generational leadership on a farm. And that transitions at different times. Like I said, our producers are a little bit different place, and everyone has a little bit of a different plan. I think through our Fresh Roots program, we've been able to maybe encourage some pieces and starting that succession and moving that through the generations for those that have that succession ready. But I think anytime that there is some hardship that needs to be faced, that's where they go back to that plan and maybe need to shift things. And so we try to be alongside for that. A good plan is a good plan, but it needs to be agile enough to adapt.
Do you see more and more farmers or an increased rate of farmers saying, I've got to give it up, I just can't do it anymore, and not coming back for next spring?
Yeah, I don't know that we see too much of an increase quite yet. Again, I think this is happening at all times through farm succession. We certainly see, you touched just a minute ago on off-farm income, and that just over time, over the generations, that's increased to some degree, whether it be through production agriculture or other roles on the farm that spouses might play, for example. But yeah, I think, I don't know that we're seeing big shifts necessarily, holistically, but more about really diving into those plans and following their succession plan that they lay out.
Okay. Will any of your loan officers suggest to some of the farmers that maybe there is a need for more off-farm income in the family, whether it's them or a spouse or somebody else bringing in additional capital to the operation? Is that something that would come up in those conversations this winter?
Yeah, I think we hear it from our producers more so than it is a recommendation. So that's an option we hear a lot of our producers bring up. A lot of, sometimes that's part-time income, sometimes that's full-time off-farm income. But again, it's all part of that plan. I know a lot of the loan officers, when they're talking with the producers, they're thinking about that for the future. And so maybe that is an opportunity for them, or maybe not. And there's other adjustments that can be made so that they don't have to do that.
Okay. Where are interest rates going to go this winter, and when people start going?
The crystal ball. Did you bring it with you today?
No. But I hope you have been polishing yours off.
Watching it much closer these days, daily, I would say. I know the market is pricing definitely in somewhere in 25 to 50 basis points here yet in September. And it has really bounced around quite a bit for the rest of the year for that November and December Fed meeting. In some cases, I think the market's pricing in up to 100 basis points decline, continuing to decline even into 2025. So I think the question is timing of when that comes. I think directionally, I could see that happening, but I think the timing and how quickly they make those drops is really what's in question.
If those drops are made, as what you have suggested that the market may be putting in there, how will that impact the farm economy?
Yeah, I think with commodity prices headed where they are, definitely having lower interest rates, lower debt cost is going to help that net farm income. I think we got in many of our areas here in rural Illinois, at least some timed rains. I know it looked a little dry coming into the summer. Still pretty green out there, but I think in the next couple of weeks we'll be going full force into harvest and expect some pretty strong yields throughout. And so I think the timing of the interest rates decline, I know there's an impact to land values as well, right. But hopefully that decline in commodity prices as well as declines in interest rates can somewhat offset and ease some of that pain.
Okay, it will certainly ease the pain in the checkbook, because if somebody's not writing quite a big interest payment as they were, that will certainly help.
Yeah.
But I didn't know what a lower interest rate would do to the overall farm economy, whether it will be a plus or depending upon how it comes, if there could be some nervousness because of other things that will happen. Yeah. with a lower interest rate.
Yeah, I think it's complex. Net farming income and those projections are quite complex. They're tied together, most definitely, maybe a little looser than they have been in the past. I know, especially as we look at impacts of interest rates to land values, typically a little bit of a lag there. And so anytime there's uncertainty, I do think that people they just get a little more cautious, and they kind of rein maybe some things in. If they had expansion plans, maybe they reconsider the timing of what those are. And in many cases, that's prudent in order to do that.
As we looked at land values, a couple of years ago, they took off in Illinois like a rocket and went up 20, 30, 40% in some cases. And now they have seemingly topped out and headed back, getting a little softer at this point. Yeah. Do you see a change in interest rates doing anything to those land values as the land sale season comes up this winter? Is it going to increase rates? Is it going to decrease rates? Is it going to increase sales? What do you foresee?
Yeah. I do. I think coming into this year, we thought they might even top out before they did. Right. I think, and I speak globally in averages across our 60 counties, we saw an average increase of in that upper 4 to 7%. And that differed depending on what area, what geography that you were in. Certainly we expect land values to maybe follow that decline in interest rates as we look to the future and possibly come down. I think could be a period of sales coming up in the next quarter or two for individuals that are maybe looking to take advantage of where the interest rate cycles are headed. And so I think it could be an interesting fourth quarter here ahead of us.
Okay. What have I not asked that is important to this conversation?
Just maybe the message I would want to leave you with is how Farm Credit Illinois can help our rural communities as a whole. We talk a lot about agriculture through lending. We also provide crop insurance. And I know I've stressed education quite a bit, but I think it's a pretty unique and special aspect of the cooperative mission. And I think that's going to be important in the years to come. And so I would want to leave you with the message that at Farm Credit, we are prepared and positioned to offer what our membership needs in the future.
I appreciate